Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Kelly OMD, your board certified OBGYN and healthcare executive, here to help you live your healthiest and wealthiest life. And you have entered into the Ask Dr. Kelly OMD Zoom room. Tonight, I am so excited to bring on our special guest, Karen Quarles. The reason why is because, we actually live not too far away from each other in the last couple of years, but it wasn't until now, until the right time for us to actually get together. I just want to say thank you to a mutual friend of ours who has definitely helped us step up our game in different ways, to say thank you for bringing us together. Right now, I'm going to have Karen introduce herself and tell us about the top 3 things she wants us to take away tonight. Karen?
So hello, everyone. My name is Karen J. Quarles. I am a lifestyle design strategist, helping high-achieving women of faith to step out of performance and get into the whole idea of living from identity, purpose, and vision-based ambition so that they can live and lead well. The top 3 things I want to talk about tonight are: how do you see, honor, and distribute yourself well?
I absolutely love that because you know what? You just said so many things that we need to really delve into, especially right now, and how things are going in life. But you know what? We don't have to allow things to take us down a path. We can strategically plan that path. And I know that's what you're going to do for us today. Not just perform, but actually be authentic in it. Go ahead, take it away.
So thank you so much, Dr. Kelly, for having me. I am always so excited to be in spaces like this because it feels so aligned with who I am as a person, because I get invited to places and it's not always in alignment, right? So I love when the spaces are aligned. So thank you for having me. Tonight I want to talk a little bit about what it means to live a leadership lifestyle. And part of the important aspect of that has been really in my heart for such a long time is because if you are a leader, your life should be customized. And every leader has a lifestyle, but not every leader has a lifestyle that is customized. And why do I say that? Before I dive into it, I want us to take a moment and take a step back. I know we're all high achieving women. We know how to make things happen. We know how to make money. We can do all the things, right? But just for a moment, imagine in your mind, you take that title that you carry, all the accolades that you've accumulated, and place them on a shelf for just a second. And when you do that, ask yourself this one question: who am I? Like, who am I really without the titles, without the accolades, all the things that I've achieved and accomplished? Who am I as a person? And one of the things that I love about this community when I was speaking to Dr. Kelly was how aligned we are with, well, you call it, let me read it because I don't want to mess up your acronym because I say it in a different way, but the SPF me, which is the spiritual, physical, financial, mental, and emotional pillars that you all stand on, which I love so much because one of the things that I teach as a coach is the importance of those pillars and how they relate to our being and not just our doing. And sometimes we try to focus our mental, our emotional, our physical, our spiritual, and our financial life on our doing and not our being. So when we think about pillars, those are the things that are the structures that are meant to hold something up, right? So if we look at those specific pillars and relate it to who we are as beings, as people, then that is what allows us to understand, okay, if I have these pillars and it relates to me, then it means I need to know who I am. So I want us to think of, you know what, I'm going to do this. Let's take an agricultural example. Let's think of the SPF me as the soil, right? And we know soil is meant to nourish, it's meant to hold something or a structure in place, whatever has been planted, right? So if we have that SPF me as the structure around what we're wanting to spring up, what is the thing that you have been planted? What is the thing that you have been living from? What is the thing that you are nurturing with those pillars? And oftentimes it has been our performance and not ourselves as a person, not our actual identity. So you want to make sure that whatever seeds that you have planted are the ones that you actually want to spring up. Because if you perform when it goes down, you have to maintain that performance as something springs up, right? So when we think about, I want us to think about the soil and go a step further. If that soil is meant to nurture us, then it's important that we know who we are as a person, right? So one of the things, I was on a 3-year sabbatical for a period of time, and I asked God, I'm like, what is it that you want me to focus on? What is it that is my purpose for me to give these ladies that you have called me to serve? And he gave me 3 specific points. He said, I want you to help my daughters to see, to honor, and distribute themselves well. Why? Because it's important to know who we are before we do a thing and before we go a place. So he was saying that it's important for us to see, to honor, and distribute ourselves. If I break that down, what does it mean to see yourself? It means that you are anchored in your identity. You know who you are, you know whose you are, and you know what he has said about you, right? This is for people who are believers, right? And then when we talk about honoring yourself, it means that I know that I've been sent here with a specific purpose and that I have been given a distinct call on my life that I must honor every single day based upon my values and how I decide to live, right? And then if we talk about distribute, what does that actually mean? It means that as these brilliant women, we have to recalibrate ourselves to not just go where we can, but to now go places because we are called. Because if we think about the kingdom of God as a distribution center, if the distribution center had a microphone that yelled out your name and says, hey, Dr. Kelly, or hey, Sheila, or hey, Cheryl, or hey, anybody who's on the call, I need you to go to a place that is far off, and I need you to teach these specific people this thing, this distinct gift that you have. I need you to be able to go. So being able to see, to honor, and distribute yourself well means you know who you are, you know why you're here, and you know where you're going. You're not just going based upon the ability to go, but permission that is divine. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you dropped so many nuggets, and y'all know I got my book right here, and I got right that Viva Life Planner for real. So what I heard you say was because we got to have closed loop communication in everything we do. So you said we're going to anchor. First of all, we're going to know who we are and whose we are,
Yes.
and that allows us to see ourselves. Then we understand what our specific purpose is, which allows us to honor ourselves.
Yes.
And then don't go where you are. Wait a second. Go where you are called, not just allowing somebody to call you to the place, but know where you're supposed to be, where you are called. Yes, keep dropping the nuggets.
Yes.
Snipers, if you have questions, start putting those in the chats because you know this talk goes really fast and we want you to be able to get your questions in as well. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the question you want to ask yourself is, after I've seen who I am and I honor that, are you dispatchable? Meaning, can God say, I need you to go here and you'll go, and not just base your movement upon performance, accolades, or your ability to have like a high earning power in a specific place. So one of the things that I focus on in my coaching practice is, when it comes to living a leadership lifestyle, it means that you have to customize your life. So I do lifestyle design with these high achieving women that I spoke about. And it helps you to understand that your life has to be specific because your call is very distinct. And when we can live in a level of precision, we can just not wake up every day and live based upon culture, but we live based upon kingdom, knowing that we are doing work that is not just fulfilling, but is pleasing to the one that we serve, right? So it helps us in that regard. So if I surmise this all up and put a pretty bow on it, the whole premise of seeing, honoring, and distributing your well means that we are going to do everything every single day from the identity, the purpose, and the vision that we have been given, that we might live and lead well and leave a legacy that has great impact for the generations that come after us.
Okay, so me being speechless is like crazy because everybody knows that I like to talk, right? But I'm like, the reason why I'm speechless is because it's like, okay, yes, as you said, alignment. And then to really go into that, you know, when you ask somebody who they are, like, who am I without all these titles? And to be honest, I mean, I've had to ask myself that question because just recently I retired, right? So 26 years in the Navy, had all the accolades and all that other stuff. But a lot of times you walk out the door and guess what? Nobody knows your name. There's just nothing else. You hopefully you got your benefits if you set yourself up right. So that can, you know, your confidence has been rooted many times in your titles. And one of the things I used to tell people all the time, you know, they're like, as soon as you hear their title, they hear your title, they're like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I'm like, but I want you to know who Kelly Elmore is, because that title, that's only going to be there for, you know, 26 years in the Navy. That title, doctor, yes, I'm going to own that forever. However, if I'm not practicing, then what? You know what I'm saying? So that is so true. I think we got somebody in the chat. Let's see. VIP, vision, identity, and purpose. Oh, she dropped that jewel.
I love that. I love that acronym. May I use it? I'm going to take that from you. I like that.
Love that. That is actually from one of our Visual Lifer VIPs. So that's probably, that everybody, like I
That's so
said,
funny.
the right time. I love that as well. So we love having this bi-directional giving that we do for each other. Now, I just want to go back to, you mentioned the specifics, and I think you said distinction. Could you go back over that again? I may not have it correctly.
Yeah, I was basically saying that as a leader, we have a specific and a distinct call. That
Yes.
leadership is not a one size fits all, and it isn't just about who can I govern. It's really about stewardship over people. And if we can look at it in a different way, because I think sometimes we're like, well, we don't want to be too spiritual in corporate spaces, and we don't want to be too corporate in spiritual spaces. But the reality is that we live in the same interchanged world, right? The spirit is not separate from the natural. And
My
when we can understand that they work together, that we live in the world, we're just not called to be of it. So this is our effort to come up higher so that we can live from a level of precision, customize our life to make sure that we are feeding, fueling, and energizing the call that we've been given, and making sure that we live in alignment every single day.
I love that. When you said that we cannot be afraid to be faith-based people or spiritual people in the place that we are, you just opened up something for me, because that is something that I actually think about. Like, oh, even in my business, can I say this? Can I do it? First of all, it's my business.
Right. Right.
And what God reminds me on a regular basis is that there are people that want to hear your voice. So what you're saying to me just definitely resonates, and I'm sure it resonates with everybody else. I'm not out here like trying to like Bible beat or anything like that. Now, if the Lord told me that's what I'm supposed to do, then sure, that's what I'll do, whatever He tells me to do. But being my full spiritual self, my authentic, okay, let's go back to that authentic piece, being your authentic spiritual self in whatever place that you're in, because that is the light that you carry. That makes such a huge difference. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Go ahead.
Just about to say that the light is the part that is actually the gold. That a lot of times people think that in order to be spiritual, we have to go in and Bible thump. But the reality is that when you know who you are and why you're here, and you have a relationship with God, you walk around with an essence of His Spirit on the inside of you. So it's not about Bible thumping. Although
Mm-hmm.
I do believe there's going to be a time when revival will break out in boardrooms. But
Yes.
in the meantime, He'll send you to places where your light is going to be more of a ministry than you could ever imagine, just by you being who He's called you to be in that space, because your identity represents a level of authority in specific territories that you are sent. That's why it's important to go not just where you can, but where you're called, because then you'll have heaven's backing with you.
I absolutely love that. Now, y'all, I don't want to hog up all the time here, because she is coaching right now. She's coaching right now. But when you talked about the stewardship, right? So a lot of people think when you're a leader, it's to be empowered, to tell people what to do and all this other stuff. And I tell people all the time, baby, I am in service. How can I be of service to you? So can you talk about that stewardship for us?
Absolutely. And you basically said it. The highest form of service to me is leadership. A lot of people think that the higher that you go, the more people work for you. But in actuality, the higher that you go, the more people that it is that you serve.
Mm.
Because you're called to cast vision, and you're called to do a lot of different things. And there are a lot of people that are in even the corporate sector that are supposed to be in an era of mentorship for other people to help build up the next generation of leaders. So it's not just about what can I do for myself, what can I do for this company, who can I see out in the landscape of this particular space that I can help build up, that will carry the torch, that will follow blueprints, that I can leave not a template, but a form of excuse me, of a blueprint for them to follow when it is their turn. So it's a multi-layered thing, but it's so much less about you than it is about being used and stewarding that particular space well.
Yeah, I think you are so right there, because, we should all be mentoring. We should all be opening doors. We should all be looking out into the sea of talent and figuring out, you know what? who can I bring into this space? And I used to tell people that all the time. I was like, one day I'm going to retire or I'm going to be gone. And we need to make sure that whomever is coming into this place is not just like me, but better than what I was able to bring. And the only way that we're able to do that is through mentorship, advocacy, and sponsorship. And I'm loving that we are basing that in our faith and understanding that. So thank you so much for that.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm going to pass it back over to you because you just keep dropping nuggets every time we.
I mean, I can go all night, but I mean, I'm open for questions or whatever you want to ask. So it's okay.
All right, all right. So Viva Lifers, let me know if you have any questions. I know y'all are being quiet in here, and normally they're not. So that's really interesting. My Viva Lifers and our guests typically are asking questions, and I see one of them here, and I see she has come off the video. So go ahead. You can go ahead and ask questions if you like. You can put them in the chat. If you want to come off of mute, you can do that as well. Let's see, lots of gems being dropped. Yes, yes, VTD, absolutely. Lots of gems being dropped for sure. Let's go back to the distribution piece. So say like, you know, especially in these days and times, things are going on where they're trying to erase, right? And I have a new phrase out. You can't erase us. So when you're conditioned to perform, how do you coach women into being vice doing? Let me say that again. When you're conditioned for performance, how do you coach women into being vice doing?
So the biggest thing about performance and taking a step out of that is for you to get back to the basics, right? To go back to what has God said about me? Because a lot of performance is often rooted in some form of trauma or wound that we are inadvertently trying to heal in a way that may be a bit unhealthy. So if you have a rejection wound, you'll try to perform your way into being accepted into places that you may not have been meant to go. So the part that I focus on to begin with is taking a step back and asking yourself again, who are you? Because part of it is that when we know who we are, we don't even have to perform. And actually, performance is not even allowed in the place where identity resides. So you'll understand that it's a part of yourself that will have to be silenced in order for your true identity to rise up.
Ooh, okay. So there's a part of us that's going to have to be silenced in order for our true identity to rise up. You say so many like poignant things that we have to like think about these things, which I think is so important. You know, can you expound just a little bit on that? There's some things that have to be silent in order for our identity to rise up.
So when you're operating in your true identity, there is no competitor. When you are operating in performance, there are tons of things that you can have that are coming up. Oh, she's better than me. Oh, that person did this better than me. But when you are your true self, there is only one you. There's only one aspect of who God says that we are. So if you are operating in the truest nature and version of who you actually and authentically are, who can compete against that?
Let me tell you, you are saying it. Okay. Because I tell people all the time, I tell myself all the time, I'm competing against no one. And tell me if I'm right or wrong, but the only person I compete with is myself. Is like, I'm like, and it's not being arrogant or anything like that. It's like you have your own special, unique talents and gifts. I have mine. If we figure out how to align these things together, there's so much more that we can give and that we can offer. And there's so much more impact that we can have. So, tell me, do we just compete with ourselves and the reason why I say this is because I'm a ball player. So I grew up playing basketball, came out you're always trying to be better, better, better. Everybody tells you have to be excellent, trying to get the 4.0, trying to get the scholarship, whatever the case may be. There's always people trying to make you compete against others. But for me, in order for me to be my best self, I just say, I'm just playing myself, my own game. But let me know if that is right, or is this something we should be thinking differently?
Let me offer you a different perspective.
Okay.
So what I'll say to that is I think it's less about competing with yourself as it is about being the best daughter that you can be.
Okay.
That when we are a child of God, and that is our habitation. So if we think of ourselves as who we truly are, if we read what the word says, we are literal heirs to the kingdom. We're literal heirs to the throne. So when you think about it from that context, how can I be the best person, the best daughter that I have been created to be? I can live in alignment. This is where the honor piece comes into play, knowing that God created me specifically. He gave me a specific purpose. How do I live in that space on a daily basis to honor who he says that I am and why he placed me here and the gifts that he put on the inside of me to use when I'm actually dispatched?
All
So
right.
it's less about competing with ourselves, because I still think in some way that keeps us in a performance mentality. And
Okay.
I think it's more about how can I be who he's called me to be every single day so that I can, at the end of all of this, it's not even just about legacy. It's about how can I get the well done that's going to wrap this all up in a pretty bow.
I love this. Thank you so much for giving me different words so that
Mhm.
I can do exactly what you said, which is be the daughter I was called to be. We got a comment. You can't take care of your business if you're all up in other people's business. You have to focus on you and not others. Definitely. Another comment. Am I honoring the will of God in my doings? Absolutely. Am I honoring the will of God in my doings?
Yeah.
And then another one, consistent with stewardship. Am I stewarding my identity well? Ooh, let's go with that. Am I stewarding my identity well? What do you have for that, Karen?
This is funny because I'm trying to take bite-sized things and not teach a whole lecture on it.
Well,
Uh,
they just got to be, they just got to be with you in your membership. So totally.
so when it comes to stewarding your identity well,
Mm,
here's what I'll say about that. Is that when you know who you are, whose you are, what God has placed on the inside of you, your actual purpose, are you doing what you are supposed to do to not mismanage the miracle that you are? And by that, what I mean is oftentimes we may be well spoken, we may be brilliant at strategizing and problem solving, and we may be gifted in all of these different areas, but we have given ourselves away to the wrong things, the wrong people, and the wrong places. So part of stewardship of your identity means going back to the whole C. I'm telling you, everything comes back to this: C, honor, and distribute yourself well. Why? Because when you know who you are, you know why you're here, and you'll know where you're supposed to go and where you don't belong. And the Bible tells us how certain people went to particular places that they were not sent. And it
mm,
means that God has no obligation to cover you where he didn't send you. So when you go somewhere and you want to fight a battle that you were not supposed to be fighting, or you want to show off in a place because you can and not because you're called, it means that you are risking going to places where you don't have heaven's backing.
mm. And I
So
think, go ahead.
so I was just going to say, in order to steward your identity well, you have to be anchored in it. You have to live from the purpose, and then you have to go where you're called, not just where you are sending yourself.
And that is so important. And I see people that have their videos up and they're like, oh my God, you are throwing people's minds, and like their minds are just being blown away because it is so true. And do you have for me, I know where I'm supposed to be because like I have that internal feeling, that gut feeling, that decision making, like something just tells me yes here, no there. And if I don't do exactly what I've been told to do, it's just not going to turn out the right way. But do you have some insight into how can people know that this is right for them? I know we said know who you are, whose you are, and operating your purpose. But how do we really know that yes, I'm going down the pathway I'm supposed to be going down?
A lot of it happens in the cultivation of your relationship with God. And I think that part of getting back to the basics are part of the steps that we often skip with. It's going to be impossible for you to truly know who you are if you don't have a relationship with God. You're not going to know your purpose, and you're not going to be able to hear his voice. So it's really being able to, just like you do with any other relationship, take the time. And the other part, getting back to basics, we have to get back to reading the word. We have to get back to seeing what does God say about specific things. All of this stuff, I keep looking online and everybody is in a tizzy. And yeah, we are in tumultuous times, but it has already been written. But if you understand what the word says, the people of God are already victorious. So why are we up in arms and not seeking, okay, God, what would you have for me to do in this landscape to ensure that I am a part of the victorious ones?
Let me tell you, because we talk about that all the time. Like, you should not be in a tizzy because you already know what you know what I'm saying, that relationship. But as you know, we are human beings, and sometimes our humanness outweighs our spirituality and our relationship, right? And we have to definitely, like you said, go back. And one of the things, or not, several of the things we talk about is getting into that meditation, getting into that journaling, making sure that we are optimizing our sleep. And my thing is meditation, journaling, exercise, optimizing sleep, hormones, and nutrition, right? And those are the basics from a healthcare standpoint, from getting those 5 pillars. And so when you're saying all of this is definitely an alignment, and it's definitely not just a reiteration, because you're giving it to us differently. And so I'm so grateful to have you here to give it to us differently and to coach us through these different types of things so that we can really be confident in the fact that our relationship with God is like the most important thing that we can nurture and cultivate in our lives. We have about, let's see, a couple minutes left. Let's see, let me just throw some comments out there for you. Of course, yes, dropping jewels and diamonds. I'm getting some amens in the fire signs in the chat. We must read, acknowledge, accept, and confess the promises of God in the word. Confess that it is for you. Absolutely. So that being said, Karen, I want to give you the opportunity to let us know how to get in touch with you, how we can follow you, align with you. Just go ahead.
Well, right now I am Karen J. Quarles on all of my social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, any place that you can look. That's how you can find me. And if you have any questions, my DMs are open if anybody has questions.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you for sharing with us your gifts, your talent, your knowledge, so that we can, Viva Lifers, live our healthiest and wealthiest life. And she is going to help us design the lifestyle that we should be living. So thank you so much. I'm Dr. Kelly, OMD, board certified OBGYN and healthcare executive, here to help you live your healthiest and wealthiest life. You can find us on Viva Life Health Hub or Dr. Kelly, OMD, Instagram, Facebook. Just Google us. I'm out there as well. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for dropping diamonds, jewels, and rare information that we need to hear. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening, everybody. And don't forget to do what? Bye. All right. Thank you for being a part of the Viva Life experience. I'm Dr. Kelly OMD, board certified OBGYN and healthcare executive. If you like what you heard, then please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. The reason why is because we are trying to educate, encourage, and inspire 1 million people to live their healthiest and wealthiest life. And this is what we're bringing you. We're bringing you educational videos. We're bringing you podcasts. We are bringing you webinars with subject matter experts, including myself, about the topics that affect you the most. So go ahead, like, subscribe, and share. We are everywhere. Have a wonderful day. Viva Life.